All right, so I got some gifts in the mail, some stone from the San Angelo, Texas area, and a piece of aluminum. And I'm gonna try to spall this down. These are from a friend of mine, 1.5 inches. I also have from another friend who sent me this, a 2-inch from Johnny. This one's from Tom. I'll be spalling this with aluminum. I usually use my 3.5-pound steel sledgehammer since it takes forever to wear down, which is a good thing. We'll see how it goes. I have knapped some of this before, and it looks like it will heat treat well. Although I got to be careful that I don't heat it too hot, because it looks like the stuff that breaks up or becomes crazed. C-R-A-Z-E-D. Okay? It's called crazing. I don't know if geologists use that term or as just a rock hounding term. I don't know. But it happens when you heat treat to the wrong temperature. Usually too high, right? Alright, this is a 2-inch aluminum, 6061 aluminum. 6061, okay? That's the only type I've ever used and probably will ever use. There are different alloys with different properties. I am going to swipe hit whenever I can, see if it works. Well, that's interesting. I hit there and I got some pieces off of there, but existing cracks are also in this stone. So that's what happened to this one. I will heat that one. It looks like it's translucent. I will heat treat this stuff. It's got some concrete in it. Let's see. Yeah, those cracks go pretty deep, so that's an existing crack in the stone. This 2-inch feels a little bit heavy. It's just probably more than I'm used to. I probably do have to flatten this out a little bit more so there's not the burrs on it. But it looks okay. I mean, the aluminum looks okay. So maybe I should strike off blades in that direction. Let's see. Actually, I don't need to use something this large. As far as aluminum goes, I had to use something that large. I can use my small 1.5 inch diameter, but I'll use a large one. I'll use the 2-inch just to try to get used to it. What's the dimension? How long is it? This one's 7 inches. This one's 8. Okay. This one's 2-inch by 7-inch. 6061 aluminum. So let's see where to hit. I usually try to get rid of the worst stuff first. The worst first. Let me try the smaller aluminum billet since I can be a little more accurate with it. Why do I use it like this? Because I don't need to modify it. It's just straight out of the box, so to speak. I'm just using it as he sent it to me. I'm not going to cut it down unless I I feel like I have to. Let's try the regular, smaller billet. 4 inches long, 1.5 inch diameter. Yeah, I have a little more control with it with a smaller one like this. Actually, I think this stuff will heat at a higher temperature, so I don't have to worry about it. Higher means, you know, 400 or above. A lower temperature means lower than 400. If I use the terms higher, or on the high side or on the low side of heat, the low side of heat is below 400 degrees Fahrenheit. The high side of heat is above 400 degrees Fahrenheit. This looks like it'll handle the higher side of heat, if I remember correctly, because I have napped this sort of stuff before. Is it good flint and steelin? Flint? Let's see if it'll flint and steelin. Oh yeah. Oh yes. It will flint and steel. All right. It feels like snap in half chert, because that should have broken down lower. Since it broke up really high, it's not snapping in the right way. Quote unquote right way. It's tending to snap in other areas, and I can't tell if it's because of an existing crack or that's just the way the stone is. If it's like the snap in half chert, then it's going to snap in weird ways. And yeah, these are not going to hold together, but that doesn't matter because I make small stuff. I've got the heat treat, the next heat treat sitting right there. The big stuff, plus I've added other stuff in. I'm going to take it up to 500 degrees. I'm tempted to throw a few of these chunks in at 500 to see if they survive. So I will give in to the temptation, you know, do these. Maybe not. Yeah, I'll do that one. Do these little. I should probably not. Change my mind. I say yes, I say no. I say yes, I say no. I'll put in some of these cruddies or clunkers. They're not that cruddy. They're just clunky. All right. I put it in the middle. I just put those in the middle. Right there. Right there. I just put those right in the middle. I'll leave them there. I won't move them. Okay, so I'll save some of these on the side. I'm already down to this little core here. See if I can peel off some fancy flakes that look like blades. Let's see if it's even possible. Oh yes, it is possible. That means it's good stuff. I'm not going to ruin this, or I shouldn't say that. I'm not going to put this in the heat treat right now because it could get ruined. It could get. Doesn't mean it will get. So with that sort of platform, it worked really well. Will it work again? I don't know. It's curved. How can you say it worked well when it's curved, you might say? How can you say it worked well when it's not straight or flat? Yeah, you might say that. And it's true. I consider it working well if it doesn't snap in half when you take a blade off. That's what I consider working well. The curve, yeah, I don't really like the curve, but that's not my the way I judge it for working well, quote unquote well. Yeah, that one probably broke up at the end because of the defects in the stone. That's what I'm gonna go with. Yeah. See how it's all crackly right there? That worked well. Because it didn't really break up in a way that was weird or anything. Sweet. Look at that. Look at it. Sounds nice too. All right, let's see what else we can do. Can we continue our streak? Yeah. Might be able to. Maybe. Oh, I got a little one. Very nice. What did they use those for back in the day? Well, everybody knows what they could be used for. Let's try. I have an idea. These have a tone. These little thin ones. I should make some chimes. One of these days I'll make some chimes, and then I'll be the chimes guy. I bet you could. I bet you didn't know you could make chimes with those blades. I'll be the chimes guy because nobody else is doing that. How's that? You might say, no, I don't want you to make chimes. No. That's stupid. You never know. They might have done it back in the day. Who's to say? Why would you need chimes? I don't know, because they sound good. You know, if you're walking around by yourself in the forest, you may want to have some little noisemakers on you that make little chiming noises so you won't accidentally scare an animal and panic the animal like a bear into attacking you because you scared it. I've heard that Native Americans would wear clinky type little clinkers on themselves, or whatever you want to call them, to create these noises while they're walking around, just so the animals know that they're walking around. Yeah. So you don't surprise one. If you're not hunting, of course. If you're hunting, you want to surprise them, yeah. But let's say you're out there just gathering pecans or something. Not hunting. Yeah. Never know. Where did I read that? Yeah, I wish I knew. You might ask me, what's your source? What are your sources? There was a time where I just read as much as possible on the internet. I never wrote down any of my sources. I just committed these things to memory because it was faster that way. I could go through 200 pages in a day or so. If I wrote down the sources, I could only go through maybe 20 pages in a day. And I'd write down the sources and I'd lose the reference. I'd rather read 200 sources and not have to worry about keeping track of where the references are. Anyway, I don't have sources for a lot of my stuff that I say. That makes me the source, right? You might say, well, that makes it invalid. Yeah. You're not a source. You might say to me, you're not a source. Don't claim yourself to be a source. Well, be skeptical of me as a source. But be skeptical of all sources. It's a good thing if you're skeptical. That way you want to do it on your own. You might say, well, it takes like years to do all the research to find that information on Native Americans wearing these little noisemaker things on themselves. Could take me like 10 years to find that. Yeah. Just ask around, I guess. I don't know. These are all junky pieces. This is getting exhausted. That's what they call it. The core is becoming exhausted. And when your core is exhausted, now is your chance to go look up some sources. Yeah. Now, is there a better way to do this? I'm sure there is. Is this how they used to? Is this how they used to use the cores back in the day? I don't know. Have I found any like this? In other words, I have not found cores that look like this necessarily. I have chunks like this in my stash of real artifacts. Yeah, I mean, they have pieces of chert in my stash of real artifacts that don't look like anything. They just look like clunkers like that. So they did make clunkers. Now whether that's a blade core for blades like this, I don't know. If I say no, I'd be wrong. If I said yes, I might be wrong too. Either way. Could be wrong either way. This is good stuff if you can get a clear piece. This has got a crack in it there. Can I demonstrate making an arrowhead from this stuff? Yeah, I just got to keep it separate from everybody else, from everything else. Yeah, I got to designate this, write something on there. Tom wrote his name there. S.A. San Angelo. San Angelo Tom. He's not from San Angelo, by the way. Anyway, let's see what I can do with this one. Same stuff. It's all the same stuff, it looks like, except this one is a little bit different. This one's huge. It's like, I don't know, 10, no, more than 10. It's like 15 pounds. It looks pretty decent. Yeah, that just comes right out of the, straight out of the cliff. Between the layers of limestone. It just falls out as it erodes. What causes all these little weird pop-outs? Those look like compression pop-outs, not from heat, but from compression. It looks like this was under an enormous amount of compression to cause those pop-outs. Yeah, I don't know. I could take a snapshot of it and blow it up, do a Photoshop and put it in a desert photo and make it look like it's 10 feet tall. Yeah, I can Photoshop myself standing next to it like that's big, and it looked like a big old 10-foot tall piece of chert. Yeah. Why do I even mention stuff like that? Because sometimes I wonder when people post big old pieces if it's a Photoshop or not. Because big old pieces are not that easy to find. But they're good clickbait. So whenever anything is good clickbait, I am suspicious of it. Yeah. That's nice. It looks translucent. If I can get the cortex off. Let's try to get, see that? Translucency. Why do I look at the translucency? because it makes really cool arrowheads when it's translucent. Yeah. You can put them up to the light and they look cool. Yeah. Oops. What is that? I just dropped it and it broke into several pieces. What? Yeah. That was weird. I mean, I struck it off and it was intact, but then I drop it and it's not, I don't have anything down there that it landed on except for a few of the other little clunky pieces. It just broke into, it just shattered. I don't know. Let me see. Let me just clear some of this out of here, just in case. It does have cracks and stuff. Oops. Hold on. It does have cracks in it and stuff, right? So that's probably where it cracked along the... It cracked along the cracks. How do you get the most out of something like this? By being able to see the future. It's the only way you know. No one can see the future though. So you never know. You never know how to crack into something like this. You just look to see if there's a clear spot and then try to nap into the clear spot. I'm going to try to take a flake this way. Let's see what happens. It looks like a clear spot. Yeah, it reminds me of Snap and Half Chert. Because it's all snappy. You see that? It just snaps and snaps and snaps. If you haven't noticed already, this looks like I took a nice good blade off of it, but it snapped all the different pieces. I mean, that's what I wanted to do. And it looks like if you found this in the archaeological record, you would think they took a blade off of that, a long blade, intact, and used it. But no, it all snapped in half. And actually snapped in quarters. It looks like 4 different pieces. So don't look at the flake scars when you're thinking that you're finding evidence of large blades in the culture. Don't look at the flake scars. Look at the actual blades. If you can't find actual blades, chances are it didn't come off in one piece. I don't believe you. What's your source, dude? The source is the video. You're watching it right now in real time. The source is what I'm doing right now. You might say, well, they didn't have aluminum. They didn't. Yeah, well, aluminum is the same weight by volume as hammerstone. And it dimples very similar to a medium grade hammerstone. So the results are similar to hammerstone. What's your source on the weight of aluminum? Look up specific gravity for stone, for antler, for aluminum. Look up specific gravity. That is the weight by volume, by size. You know, the weight of it by the size of it, compared to the weight of water. No. You can use it. There's wood has specific gravity. Metals have specific gravity. That sort of thing. I like this. When it stays together. Yeah. But, you know, it's unpredictable when you get it like this. This is a surface find, right? You find these things on the surface. I think that if you actually dig them out of the ground, they'd be a lot better. Yeah, quarry these out of the ground, you're going to get a lot better results. Yeah. And see this banding right here? This reminds me of the snap and half chirp. Why do I call it snap and half chirp? Because I don't know if you remember, if you've been watching different videos, I have a bunch of it. Right now I do have a bunch of it. And it's been snapping in half on me. So that's why I call it that. And it seems to be a type of chirp because there's a lot of it around here. I say around here, I say within 2 hours of where I am in Midland. Within 2 hours of Midland, there's a lot of this snap and half stuff. Semi-translucent. Sometimes very translucent. Sometimes it breaks up in the heat. That's why I'm only testing a little bit in the turkey roaster, because it might break up in the heat, like the other crazing that you saw in the previous results video from heat treating. The most recent one, I pulled one out and I struck it and got a really nice controlled overshot, and it was all crazed in the middle. That was snap and half chirp. Yep. Yeah, so these look like big spalls, but they're coming off as little dipsy doodle. Not good for much stuff. Dipsy doodle. Where does that come from? Yes, I don't know. I'm trying to get a whole piece, but it snaps in half. It's okay if you want to make smaller arrowheads. And these will make good at lateral dart points because they're, 2 inches is sufficient for at lateral dart point. That's all you need. Yeah, see, it's 2 3/4. You can hunt buffalo with those points that are 2 inches long and 1 inch wide. Yeah. Bison. You can hunt bison with those. Why bison? Because bison are good. They're yummy. How do I know? I don't know. I don't know these. It's a mystery. There it goes. I'm getting that scratchy throat again. Still trying to get over the cold. I don't have any more phlegm, but it's just very scratchy. I got nothing to drink. I'm out of my topo. Anyway, you can kind of see where this is going. Okay. The moment you've all been waiting for. Yeah. All 2 of you that are still watching. It's 29 minutes. We've lost 80% of the viewers so far. So those 3 of you that are still watching, I like you guys. Oh yes. You're my faves. You're my faves. You're my peeps. All right, peeps. Let's see what we can do with this. Shall we try the big honking, whatever you want to call it, billet? Yeah, yes. I want to hit it. I've been wanting to hit this the whole video. What? So went back into my wood pile. What did it do? Is it clear? I don't know if it's clear. It's not clear. You know, free of cracks is what I mean. It's got some cracks at the bottom, but it's not too bad. Let's see. I got a little more control with the sledge. No. Don't tell me you snapped. Yeah, it did snap. But it couldn't help itself. It snapped in the area that was cracked. Alright, so these are the pieces. Reasonable. Oh yes. Now, let's heat treat this. Okay. This was from, should I call this a tabular? I'll call this fat tab. Fat tab. And I'll put it in the heat treat. Alright, let's see. Remember where I put it. Right here. Okay? Right there. You might say, but dude, you wrote on it. You don't need to know where you put it. Just throw it in there. You wrote on it. Well, just in case. Sometimes it can fire pop right where I wrote and you won't see the writing. Yeah. Well, I'm not going to tell you what a fire pop is. And no, it's not the father of fire. Alright. Some of you get that, some of you don't. Some of you will get that on the way home, when you get home. If you're driving in traffic right now and listening to the YouTubes while you're driving, not necessarily watching. Just hoping I'll say something silly to alleviate your boredom on the road. You'll get home and you'll figure that out. All right. See, it's got cracks in there. Is it a total loss when it has cracks like that? Nope, because some of it's clear. Can I get a big piece? Show us. You might say, show us. Show your peeps how to get a big piece. A piece for the peeps. All right, let's see if I can get a big, huge, gigantic piece off of this. That way I can make an 8-inch long blade. Yeah. Was that good? In my view, was that a good strike? It's not solid. It's got issues, but it was a good strike, yes. Was it productive or was it wasteful? Well, sometimes this darker stuff is really high quality for knapping. And if you can skim it, it's worthwhile. Now this, let me see. See how it sounds? It's got issues. It's craciola. There it is. But I can probably knap something out of this piece. Yeah, and it might have nice swirly patterns in it when I'm done. Oh yes. It might be beautiful. So I won't put that in the heat treat, just in case those pieces in the heat treat from this batch break all up. Now, is this solid? Sounds a little bit better. Yeah, It does sound better. So that was the major issue. I can probably get something out of this one too. Although it varies in consistency. Some of you guys already know this up here might be beautiful to knap. It's got all these little cute little spots, and then it gets concretey here, and you'll be knapping it, and you'll want to notch this part. I know it'll probably come down to that. You won't be able to notch it. I might have to heat treat it just to get it more consistent. So I can show you. Yeah. Come on. This is nice too. This piece, I can make an arrowhead out of that little piece. If I don't break it off. I mean, it could be a long one too. Yeah. Nice. Well, how would I rate this on a scale of 1 to 10 as far as knappability goes? Well, if it snaps real easy, I'd you know, it's mid-range. It's like a 5. Yeah. It really knocks it down quite a bit. It could even go down to a 4 if I can't get anything long out of it because it's too snappy. Be about a 4. Even though the pressure flaking would be maybe a 7, an 8. You might be able to pressure flake it really nice, really nicely. Yeah. You might be asking yourself, well, why doesn't he just pressure flake it then instead of talking about it? I'll wait till the next video. Most of you guys aren't watching anyway. You've already switched over to the other stuff, which reminds me, I check the analytics every now and then. It appears that many of my viewers don't watch other Flintknapping videos. They don't watch Flintknapping videos. They're watching like fail videos. You know, when people slide on the ice and stuff, or jump in ponds that they think has no ice on top, and they smack themselves on top of the clear ice. A big old fail. They're watching those kind of videos instead of Flintknapping videos. It's weird. Yeah. Anyway, I'll take what I can get. Yeah. This, as far as knappability goes, it's better than a 5, but as soon as you encounter cracks, it lowers down. Now, my phone battery is at 5%, so I got to go charge it again. So I'll leave it at that. Okay. This gives you a good idea. Well, it gives me a good idea. I don't know about you. Besides, I'm hacking and coughing like a fool. So I'll just cut the video here. It looks like really nice stuff. As long as it's not cracked. And it's got these cute little spots in it. Alright, so I think that's good. Good enough for now. I'm going to put that heat treat in the shop and turn up the heat on it. Alright, that's it.